Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Wednesday, and all of our guests today brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions and ableauctions.ca. Just before we get to Ian Furness from Dwight Delaney's OK Tire and Langley Inbox, a couple of good things coming out of the Canucks win. First, the win, then the rebound games of Lankinen and Pettersson. Finally starting to earn his 11-6. Yeah. We didn't talk about Lankinen, and we questioned that move to start him with the thought that maybe they're overplaying Lankinen. But he didn't say it, but maybe the thought with Rick Tocchet was he had a tough time, his first tough time with the Canucks on Saturday, got replaced in the third period. Allow him or give him a chance to bounce back, and he did
a good job last night.
KGR Sports Radio, Kraken Hockey Network. We're joined now by Ian Furness, who's from those two businesses. How are you, sir? That was an awkward intro.
Gentlemen, no, all good. You're a radio professional, broadcast professional, Hall of Famer, Donnie, so nothing short of spectacular as always. And then there's Rick. Anyway, hey, I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
I got this is I know, but I'm going to turn the table. So I always hear about Canadian medicine. Well, just in terms of the medical system and how, like, you could be having a heart attack and they'll see you in like 6 months, right? So, like, I tore my meniscus in my knee because I'm old and, think I'm young. Mm-hmm. And so my primary care, I told Ryan I was on the phone on hold. Primary care, they refer me to an orthopedic, right, to look at the knee. Mm-hmm. First available date, January 17th. Like, is that's worse than up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I haven't gone through anything. Well, I did go through something in the summer, but that's about the same, is it?
It's around the same.
Yeah. I think so.
So, okay.
You said January 17th, 2025 or 2026? Yeah.
Boy, I should have asked that question.
You should have asked that.
You know what?
What are you doing here?
I just put. We've got you 12 months from now, Ian. Hopefully the leg doesn't fall off in the meantime. Like, it sucks being old and out of shape, guys. It really does.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. What happened? Was this an old football injury?
Well, no. I do this old man walk, I call it, like 3.5, 4 miles, and try to do it 3 or 4 times a week. I go up a big hill, down a big hill, and around the neighborhood. Kind of listen to your podcast a lot of times, guys.
Yeah.
Now, I did this when you were still on your hiatus in the summer, so I was listening to another podcast. But it's a mental thing, physical thing. But I put my kids, who's a college football player, I put his weight vest on, thinking that I could get a little extra good workout in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Like, really bad. And he told me, and Kiefer said, don't do it. Don't do it. No, I'm fine, buddy. I'm fine. Put the weight vest on, get an extra strong workout in today. It's hot. Bad idea. Really, really bad idea.
And if your kids are like mine, there's a part of him that just loved it, even with Dad hurting.
Oh, yeah. Outside the fact that we had a golf tournament a couple weeks later, and I'm limping around, and he's like yelling at me, like, be better and play better, and what's wrong with you? Outside of that, the fact that he was right, he enjoys that immensely. Absolutely.
Okay, Seahawks bye week in San Francisco on Sunday. I know their defense has been poor, relatively speaking, but what's the deal with getting rid of their leading tackler? They've let him go, Tyrell Dodson. What's going on there?
Well, on the surface, it's stunning. You don't get rid of a starting player and a guy that is your leading tackler in the middle of the season, during a bye week, but. Upon further review, I guess you can look at it and say there's a couple things in play here. One, he wasn't performing up to the expectations of the head coach. Wasn't what they expected when they signed him. And it's a really important position for Mike McDonald's defense, to be honest with you. Pete Carroll had like this. Remember, Pete Carroll put a priority on the safeties, like Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, and they paid those guys a ton of money. And maybe overpaid in some people's minds, but that was an integral part of what he wanted to do defensively, and they were special players. When Mike McDonald was in Baltimore, he had a couple great linebackers. They went and traded for Roquan Smith. And they that was a priority for them, that inside linebacker, that stack linebacker position. It was the key to his defense, where you want to run things. That's the same in Seattle. Jerome Baker, they turfed him, sent him to Tennessee, brought in Ernest Jones, who's been fantastic, and then they just said Dotson's not good enough, and they got rid of him. And they got lucky because Miami picked him up, so they don't have to pay the cap money. They save money there. I think what happened, honestly, we'll find out. He speaks in about an hour and a half. I'm heading to the VMAC right now. But when he does speak, my guess is, and I don't know if he'll say this, is that they said, hey, we're going to bench you. We're going to play the rookie Tyrese Knight, and we're going to bench you. And I have a feeling the player said, you know what, why don't you just cut me? I'm done. I don't need to be here. He's on a 1-year deal, so I'm thinking that's what happened. But bottom line is, he wasn't performing to the level they wanted him to perform at.
Ian, what kind of update on DK Metcalf? I'm presuming it'd be really nice if he can get back in the lineup this week.
Yeah, we were expecting to see him. We'll find out again in about an hour and a half, but I think he's going to play. It sounds like all indications are he's going to play, and they need him. It's a must-win, guys. It's as must-a-win as you can get.
Yeah.
They're 4-5. They're falling off pace in the NFC West. I don't know if you can make it in the NFC playoffs this year as a wild card team at 10-7. That might even be a stretch. I think you might be able to, but let's just say that's the barometer. That's the line. They're 4-5. They need to go 6-2. It's NFL math the rest of the way. I think we talked about that last week. And so they need DK Metcalf. He's a difference maker, not just DK being a difference maker by catching the ball. Everyone else has more space. Everyone else is better. Everyone else, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, whatever tight end might be healthy this week, Ken Walker. DK Metcalf changes the entire dynamics. You got to roll a safety over and roll coverage over to him every time. He is that much of an impact player, even if he's not catching a ball. They have to have him in the lineup this week to have any shot at all to beat this team.
Trade between the Canucks and the Kraken. Oh, my goodness, Ian.
Yeah.
Daniel Sprong, I don't think he's there yet. I think he's got some visa issues. He was skating at 8 rinks yesterday. He should get there by the end of the week. It's only 2 hours wait. But anyways, what do you think of Daniel Sprong? What's going on here? You guys had him. You let him go. Canucks pick him up, trade him in 9 games. What's going on here?
Listen, that's a nice narrative you're painting right now. Like that, first of all, it's a normal thing when a guy playing in Canada gets traded to the States and they have to work on their visas. That's normal, Rick. You know that. Come on now. Yeah. That's a shot. I feel like you're taking a shot. He should be skating with Donnie's Bantam team probably up in Burnaby somewhere, but get a better workout in than by himself. But no, listen. We I guess I work for them now. We didn't let him go.
Oh.
He had a good season when he was with Seattle the playoff year 2 years ago. He was a UFA, and they didn't have the money that he wanted. He got a better offer financially from Detroit. Took that. Went there last year. Had 18 goals, and then obviously went to Vancouver where he scored the first goal of the season. Didn't score after that. He's one of those guys, fellas. He's one of those guys. He's a one-trick pony. Yeah. He's not. He is. We always hear that. What is the term? 200-foot player. Yeah. Sprong ain't a 200-foot player. Like he's about a 75-foot player. But in those 75 feet, he can score. He can shoot. He can score. They need guys that can finish. He adds. If nothing else, we had Ron Francis on our pregame show on TV on Friday, and I asked him. I said, hey, does this send a message to the locker room? And he says, well, guys can do the math. There's 12 forwards they're going to dress. Now there's 13. Someone's going to sit. The key here is that a couple of the guys that we're looking at, one of those was Brandon Tanev. He's had 3 goals in the last 2 games. And the other guys would be not Bjorkstrand. Bjorkstrand Satin has actually been really good since then. Andre Burakovsky, who's just been invisible, doesn't have a goal yet this season. So those are the guys that are probably looking over their shoulder. Sprong's. I mean, you guys know he's only going to play on the wing. He's not going to play in the middle. So a guy like Yanni Gourde, who hasn't had a goal yet this season, he's probably okay. Because I don't know what they would do there in the middle on the fourth line. That fourth line's been good. So there's competition. I think they're going to have to move somebody because they're over the cap. They've got Vince Dunn on the LTIR right now. He's still probably 2 weeks away, Francis told us. But even with that said, they are bumped right up against the cap as it is. So when Sprong gets the visa and comes across, when he crosses the peace arch up there, the second he comes into the States and waves and says, hey to Farhan over there in Blaine or wherever he's living at these days, they're gonna have to they're going to have to do something salary cap wise. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that regard.
Sprong would have been there sooner, but he's walking to Seattle with your son's weight vest on.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that. Although he is an athlete, and I am the opposite of an athlete. I would not recommend him doing that for sure. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. And I'll see the orthopedic in 2026 or something, I guess. We'll see.
Take care of that meniscus, Ian, and thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, good seeing you. Say hi to Ryan. Hopefully he's doing well. I never get to talk to him anymore. I used to love him on the air, but you guys have cut him off.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Not a bad thing.
A lot of people are pretty happy about that. Ian, thanks for this.